All right, welcome to the Explainer. Let's just jump right in because today we are tackling a massive, incredibly common frustration for anyone using AI for research. Picture this. You gather these incredible high-quality reports, you upload them into NotebookLM, you ask what seems like a perfectly reasonable question, and you just get this generic, shallow answer back. It's so frustrating, right? Well, let's dive into this and fix that exact problem.
If you've experienced this, believe me, you are not alone. And it's so easy to just blame the AI model or to think, oh, I just didn't use the magic words in my prompt. But we really need to validate that frustration here because the actual problem, it isn't the AI. And it's definitely not that single sentence you typed out. The real issue is a lack of what we call source engineering.
Which brings us to a really crucial point. Source engineering comes before prompt engineering. I want to challenge you right now to completely shift your mindset away from all that complicated prompt theater. Seriously, a beautifully written paragraph-long prompt simply cannot rescue the wrong set of sources. Narrowing down your sources first is absolutely how you get a better answer.
So here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We're going to cover the source-first mindset, why NotebookLM is fundamentally different, the 6-part prompt contract, 4 reusable workflows, and finally some common failures and how to repair them.
All right, part 1, the source-first mindset. Simply put, stop uploading everything.
See, NotebookLM doesn't actually distinguish between background material and hard evidence. It treats everything you upload as equally important. So you have to triage your sources into 3 specific buckets. First up, essential. These are the primary data or final reports you absolutely cannot exist without. Second is helpful, which is useful context you might want to add in later if you need it. And third is noise. Interesting, sure, but ultimately distracting. Let me give you an example. Say you upload 2 reports that say pretty much the same thing, like one notes a 12% decline in satisfaction, the other says 11%. A human looks at that and sees one underlying idea. But NotebookLM, it sees 2 competing signals. By removing that redundant noise, you're giving the AI a much cleaner, far more decisive path to follow.
Moving on to part 2, why NotebookLM is different. This is all about context versus the analytical job. Think about a general chatbot for a second. You usually have to paste in giant walls of context, right? Or assign these elaborate theatrical personas. But NotebookLM already has the context. It's literally sitting right there in your uploaded sources. Your prompt's real job here is to meticulously control the analytical task itself. Take a look at this comparison. Saying, summarize these documents is vague. It's asking for compression before you've even done any discovery. A much better request would be something like, compare the selected reports, identify agreements, and cite evidence. You are actively commanding the system on exactly how to process that evidence. And I think that brilliantly illustrates our next core idea. NotebookLM organizes information, but you organize meaning. The AI has absolutely no idea what success looks like for your specific meeting or your research project. It can organize the data perfectly, for sure, but you are entirely responsible for defining what that data is actually supposed to mean for your audience.
Okay, part 3, the 6-part prompt contract. Consider this your blueprint for success.
This methodical blueprint basically replaces all that chaotic prompt guessing with a structured, rock-solid agreement between you and the system. Every effective, source-grounded NotebookLM prompt really needs to define these 6 things. The objective, meaning the actual analytical job you need done. The audience, specifying exactly who is going to use this. The source scope, ensuring only the relevant files are active. The output contract, which defines your sections and formats. The evidence rule, requiring actual citations. And last but not least, the failure behavior.
Now check out this universal fill-in-the-blank template. It seamlessly applies those 6 parts to almost any research or analysis task you can think of. It goes like this. Using the selected sources, perform this task for this audience. Organize the result as this format. Provide evidence for every major conclusion. Separate facts from uncertainty. Exclude irrelevant noise. Honestly, it really is that simple, and it will completely transform the results you get. I really want to highlight that last piece specifically, though, failure behavior. This is without a doubt your absolute secret weapon. You have to tell NotebookLM exactly what to do when evidence is missing. Instruct it to state what the sources do not establish, and to explicitly identify that missing evidence instead of just sort of guessing or smoothing over the gaps. Setting this up, it completely prevents hallucinations. All right, part 4. 4 reusable prompt workflows. It's time to break down complex tasks. Here's the thing. Complex work should rarely, if
ever be handled as one giant prompt. To show you what I mean, let's use a scenario of analyzing reports on AI in education as a running example. So workflow 1 is index to explain. This is absolutely perfect when your notebook has a large, mixed set of those education reports. If you just ask it to summarize everything all at once, you're practically guaranteeing a failure. Instead, break it down. Step 1, ask it to create an organized topic index without summarizing anything yet. Step 2, ask it to recommend which topics actually deserve deep explanations. And then step 3, have it explain just one of those chosen topics in detail.
Workflow 2 is what we call extract to analyze. You'll want to use this for more abstract concepts. Say you really want to understand student engagement across all your reports. Don't just ask for a quick answer. First, rigorously collect the evidence. Tell the AI to extract every single passage, definition, and example related to student engagement, and then group them all by theme. Only after it extracts all that evidence do actually ask it to analyze the grouped material.
Then we have workflow 3, compare, contradict, verify. You'll want to use this one when your AI and education reports actively disagree with each other or maybe use different definitions entirely. Ask NotebookLM to actively separate the areas of agreement from the direct contradictions. Have it map out any differences that are just caused by terminology, and then finish up with a verification table showing exactly which conclusions are supported by multiple independent sources versus just one. And finally, workflow 4 is generate, inspect, revise. This one is primarily used for controlling complex outputs, like when you're making finalized reports or slide decks. You generate the first version using that clear output contract we talked about. But, and this is key, you do not stop there. You then inspect that draft for omitted evidence or structural weaknesses, and you revise it one variable at a time. Think about it. If you change the audience, the tone, and the source selection all in one brand new prompt, you're never going to know what actually fixed the output. Which leads us directly to this major mindset shift. The first draft is not a result, it is feedback. We need to stop judging our first drafts by asking, is this good enough? And start studying them by asking, what is this draft actually telling me about my own thinking? Here is a brilliant pro tip if you're working on a slide deck output. Try reading the deck backward. Start right at the final slide. If you only saw that conclusion, would you even believe it? If not, the fix isn't just tweaking the words in the conclusion, it's going back and adding the missing evidence earlier in the deck. And that brings us to part 5, common failures and repairs. Fixing the result itself, not just the wording. Instead of just endlessly tweaking adjectives and crossing your fingers, you can actually fix bad outputs mechanically using this repair matrix. So if you get a generic answer, the cause is almost always an abstract request. The repair? Name the exact comparison you want. Now, if you get a really shallow summary, you probably asked for compression before discovery. The repair there is to use our extract then analyze workflow. And if the AI invents certainty, when it sounds incredibly confident about something totally vague, it's because you didn't define a failure behavior. You absolutely must explicitly require it to list out any missing evidence. Okay, before you export or present any NotebookLM slide deck or report, run through this rapid-fire checklist. Number 1, are the essential sources completely isolated from the noise? 2, is the audience highly specific and not just everyone? 3, does every single major claim have visible supporting evidence? 4, have you anticipated and answered the exact questions a skeptic would ask? And 5, is missing evidence explicitly stated?
I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. Look at your own process for a second and ask yourself, are you still judging your AI first drafts, or are you finally using them as feedback? Because your very next NotebookLM session is a perfect opportunity to systematically implement the source-first contract we discussed today. If you organize the meaning and define that failure behavior, I guarantee you'll watch the quality of your insights just absolutely skyrocket. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy prompting!